Hey everybody, this is Julie, the Maine Stamper. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I'm back with another video in my series called Mondays Are Hard, Stamping Shouldn't Be. So we are exploring beautiful cards that require minimal supplies and minimal efforts to get fabulous results. And today's card is this wonderful card right here, and it is being made with the Country Road stamp set. So we've got one stamp set with lots of country stamps in it. We've got two colors of ink. We've got Early Espresso and we've got Poppy Parade. And we've got two colors of cardstock. We've got Crumb Cake and Poppy Parade. So again, with one stamp set, two colors of ink, and two colors in cardstock, we're going to make one terrific card. So as always, they go together pretty quick and easy. It's just some minimal stamping and some quick assembly, and you've got a great card. So follow me and let's get stamping. Okay guys, so to get started, as always, we're going to take our half a sheet of cardstock, and I like to fold it over, use my bone folder, and burnish the edge, get a nice crisp edge on the outside. Then I always like to flip it and invert my card again and do a second run through with the bone folder to burnish, and I get a really great inner crease. So that's something that I always start with, is just a little bit of folding in half. And we are going to set aside our base today and start working with Poppy Parade first. So I'm going to bring in a piece of Poppy Parade in the Poppy Parade ink, and we are going to be stamping with this leaf or flowery looking outline image. So we're going to just ink that up with our Poppy Parade. So we are stamping color on color here, and we're just going to stamp. You can do 2 or 3, no, I should say 3 to 4. 3 to 4 would be good. We're just getting a nice coverage here onto our cardstock. So we've got, I did 4 there, so that part is already done, super quick and easy. I'm going to pull my card base back in, and I'm going to actually stamp this as well on the inside. Normally, if I'm using a color base, I like to add a white insert, but because these are minimal supply cards, we are not adding extra paper, so I've just simply added this to the inside of my card, and that's going to be our inside interest today. So that went together really quick. And now we're going to bring in some Early Espresso, and we're going to start stamping with this color. The rest of our assembly today, or stamping I should say, is actually with Early Espresso ink. So this is our sentiment: nothing's better than the wind at your back, the sun on your face, and your family by your side. So I am just going to stamp this in a random pattern onto my cardstock here. I am not overlapping it, but I'm also really not trying to get it super straight either. It kind of gives it the look of some newspaper clippings kind of assembled. So this is this piece right here already done, and we're going to actually bring in the glue, and we're going to put these two pieces on our card front. So green glue or tape if you're a tape runner person, and this one goes toward the bottom. So you're going to see that this is crumb cake on crumb cake. So it's very forgiving if you do not have it lined up perfectly straight, which is a really nice thing. When you're a beginner card stamper, sometimes when you're an experienced card stamper, it can be difficult to get things lined up correctly. It takes a little bit of practice. I am putting this red piece on as well. The Poppy Parade's going on the top. There's a break in between, but you don't really see it because we've got the crumb cake here on the bottom. So this is the first part of our card, and it's already looking fabulous. We are going to bring in a smaller piece of crumb cake, and this is going to be our horse weather vane. I'm actually going to add the ink to this one while the stamp is facing up. So I'm going to put some Early Espresso ink onto this, and here I'm just trying to get the horse onto this piece of paper. So I want to just make sure the horse, it's a little bit longer as you might see, but we really want to get the horse on there, which I did manage to do, which is great. While your ink is still wet, if you've got a really great ink pad and it's wet, like I just re-inked this one, we're actually going to fold this up a little bit. We're kind of crumbling it. We're giving it a weathered look. So we have just crumbled this guy up, and this is fabulous. If your ink has been wet and it did it right away, you're going to see that it's smudged and smeared, and that's actually what we're looking for this weathered paper. So then I'm going to take my ink pad, and I'm going to follow along maybe where I've got some creases where I folded it and enhance the crease just a little bit, and I'm just going to tap it with some of the ink from my ink pad. I just want to be careful to not go too crazy because you don't want the horse weather vane, to be completely covered. You just want to add in maybe a little bit here and there. So I'm going to kind of recrease this fold that I did earlier, and I'm going to try very carefully here too. Just put a little bit of ink on there as well. So you can see it's just kind of making it look a little bit more beat up and run down. You can add a little bit here on the sides. Each time you do this, it's going to look totally different, as you can see from my first sample card. So you can kind of see where the creases were after I wrinkled it all up. So we've got a really weathered weather vane here, and we're going to put this together with another layer of crumb cake and poppy. So if you've been following me at all, you know that I love to put on layers in the cards. I really feel like it gives it more of an artistic look when you have a lot of layers. If you ever look at fine art, things that are framed and beautiful, there's usually some really great layering going on, and I feel like card fronts should be the same. I'm going to flip this one over and try to not get too much more ink on my fingers because I'm really good at doing that. So this is our 3-piece layer, just crumb cake, poppy, and crumb cake, and this can actually go onto our card front as well. So you can see how fast this one's going together today. I'm going to add a little extra adhesive on the back here because it's a little bit thicker of a heavier piece of paper. So I'm putting this one on a little bit off to the side. I want to save some room here for my wagon wheel. So we're going to set this aside again here for a second. And this is where your scrap paper is going to come in. So we're going to take our wagon wheel stamp and a scrap of crumb cake. And again, we're using the early espresso ink, and we are going to stamp the wagon wheel on here. Now, if you happen to have a 1 3/4 inch punch, this punches this out perfectly. But this is a minimal supply kind of card, right? So you may not have a punch on hand. So your scissors are going to work great as well. So you're simply going to go around in a circle, cut out your wagon wheel. It's not super hard to cut it out. This is my cutout version, and this is my punched version, and there's really not too much of a difference. It's pretty easy to get around this wagon wheel. So I've got my wagon wheel. Look at him. He's already cut out. That's fabulous. We are going to take a scrap of Poppy Parade, and we're going to take the star stamp, and we are also going to ink this up in Early Espresso, and we're going to stamp this on the Poppy Parade. So again, I'm going to fussy cut this out using my scissors. So here's my fussy cut out star, just like that. And I'm going to, oh, that was my glue coming out of my little glue holder. Sorry about that. We're going to put the star right in the middle of the wagon wheel. And then for fun, I like to bring in a hole punch and get a little punch here from my hole punch. So if you have an office supply hole punch on hand, you can certainly just use that for your tiny circles. So we're going to try to get that on here. This is where your glue comes in handy. Tape runner would make this very difficult to get this little circle on here, but that was a scrap of crumb cake with a hole punch. Now I have a tip for you as well. So this is ready to go onto my card front. So I've got a bunch of layering here because, as we all recall, Julie likes to do layers. So if I put this here where I want it to go, it's hitting great right here, but there's like a gap underneath here. So we've created a gap. Now if you have dimensionals like these, Stampin' Up! Sells dimensionals, they're sticky on the back, you pull them off, they're little foam adhesives, they give you some great lift. I'm going to show you a tip on, let's say you don't have dimensionals at home because you are working with a limited supply kind of a thing. If you count how many layers you need to go up, so I've got 3 layers right here, so I'm going to take my wagon wheel and I'm going to create my own dimensionals. I'm using color cardstock on colored cardstock. That way it's going to be hidden, you're not really going to see it. But as you can see here, I'm just adding 3 layers of scrap cardstock. And I'm going to now put some glue in the 2 places it's going to hit. It's going to hit here, over here, and it's going to get here, over here, if that makes sense to you. If you try it at home, I can guarantee you that it will. So this is going to go on the front of my card. So you can see right now, there's no wiggle wobble here because this is adhered flat here, and with those pretend dimensionals that we just made, that extra cardstock gave us some lift, so it went together on this side right over here and it looks pretty flat, so there's no way that it's going to fall off and wobble. So this is our card. It was so quick and easy today. Just some stamping, some layering, a little bit of weathering on our weather vane, and I shared that great tip with you on creating your own dimensionals. So I hope you can try these out at home and find great use for this. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed this card today with the Country Road stamp set. As you saw, it went together pretty quick and easy. It's just some stamping on some cardstock and some assembly. And if you want the card recipe or the dimensions for this particular card, head over to my blog, themainestamper.com. I will have that recipe written out for you. I show you step-by-step pictures of assembly as well. And I also show you a picture of a card where I've added some extra features to it just to give you some additional ideas. So I hope you're enjoying my video series where I'm showing you that with minimal supplies and minimal efforts you can get fabulous results. You don't have to have everything in your craft arsenal. You can create beautiful projects at any time. So please come back and see me next Monday where I come up with another idea using another stamp set and some new colors, and we will get through another Monday together. Have a great week, everybody. Bye!